Hey everybody, it's Cayley. I am back with another What Sold From Last Week video. In today's video, we'll be going over some of the higher dollar or quicker selling sales that happened on eBay and Poshmark. If you guys are new here, I come on and share my sales for reselling every single week. So we'll do a small breakdown of the numbers and share some bullet lists. If you guys are interested in that and you're not already, don't forget to subscribe down below and hit that notification bell. Let's dive into the sales. Okay, so these sales happen between December 17th through the 23rd. That is a Sunday through a Saturday. And I sold between two platforms, eBay and Poshmark. Split was pretty good between the two. I sold 120 items on eBay and 111 on Poshmark, making the total items sold 231. My gross item sales, money received for just the items alone, was $7,760.66, making my average sale price close to $34, which I'm really happy with. I'm continuing to try and inch that up. You can see on eBay my average sale price per item was close to $38, which is really good, and I think that eBay's really driving that average sale price. Poshmark continues to be the platform that I move out older items, so unfortunately lower average sale price there. But surprisingly, if you've been following me every single week, this is really high for me as far as average sale price goes on Poshmark, $29. That is really good. So every single week trying to increase both of these and hopefully get closer to between 35 and 40 consistently. And I would like to achieve that goal before moving on to my next goal of reducing my inventory, even though I am a little bit past the end of the year in my goal time. I think we can achieve it by the end of January, and I'm going to keep driving at that. All right, so let's dive into the sales. This first one is on eBay. It is a brand I definitely recommend you guys look for. It is Ginny Kane. This label can be kind of hard to spot just because it's black on black, but very fantastic brand. I would say there's probably nothing in this brand that wouldn't sell for a lot. Obviously, do your own research. This was a size extra large, and it was a cashmere blend, which obviously increased the value significantly. It is a long length. It was called the Everyday Kate Sweater Maxi Dress, very popular style. I listed this for $175. It did sell for my full asking price, and it took about a month to sell. Next up is one I have been sitting on for quite some time, which is to be expected with vintage t-shirts, because you're really just looking for that right fan, that right buyer, and most of the time they're not in perfect condition. So this one was a really cool, kind of wanted to keep it for myself, vintage Audio Slave band shirt from 2005, so kind of like Y2K. I guess it's not technically vintage, but it's very close. But really good thing to look for. Vintage band tees, especially in kind of, I don't really consider this so much like a niche band, but one that there isn't a lot of them out there. Very high sell-through rate on Audio Slave older shirts. So felt very confident picking this up. We listed this back at the end of July. It did take until now to sell, but like I said, that's pretty normal when you have something priced really high and you're accepting offers. This one had some overall fading and a couple of small holes. Listed it at 200 or best offer. Got an offer for 150 and accepted that offer. So, and I only paid $6 at a thrift store. So really good return on investments. I love stuff like this. All right, next up, you guys might have seen this in a Thrift With Me video. I did convince Joe not to keep this, but this actually ended up being kind of like a set. It was meant to be sold together. So it was called a 3-in-1 jacket, size large, very heavy duty, has the logo on the back, men's, all good things contributing to a really good sale. This one did have a small spot on the front. I think they had it priced up for about $12. I listed it for $125. It sold on an international sale for $106. And this only took 4 days to sell. So awesome, and love eBay's international shipping program because it's just so easy. All right, next up is a pretty interesting sale. This is Standard by James Purse. I talk about this brand a lot. Men's, women's both do well. They're very like basic capsule wardrobe stuff. but they do have a really good following. Some of their stuff only sells for 25 bucks. Some of their stuff sells for over $100, like this piece. So it really just depends on what you have, but a pretty solid brand in general. This one was kind of special because they were a pair of corduroy pants, which apparently were a little bit more rare. And this one did have a little spot on it. We listed this very high in the beginning and have since dropped the price. I listed this back in March actually, so definitely listed it too high, have since dropped the price, and it ended up selling for $101, which is still, you know, great return on investment. But had I priced that a little bit more appropriately in the beginning, it definitely would have sold quicker. All right, this is a newer brand to me. It is Jane Woolridge, made in England, and this is a silk slip dress. And pretty good comps on specifically this brand. I listed this at $100 or best offer and accepted an offer of $85 on this, and this took a couple months to sell. Next up, a brand that is not very common to find. It is Lamb by Gwen Stefani. Very Y2K brand. I have sold lots of stuff in this brand. It's kind of hard to price. Its comps are all over the place, but this one was definitely a little bit more rare of an item. It was a denim jacket. Used a bunch of keywords for this, kind of had to make up a price, listed it for $85, very Y2K piece. It sold on an offer to watcher for $72, and it took about 2 months to sell. This is a brand I pick up in just about everything. It is Aviator Nation. Very solid comps on this brand. Men's, women's, kids, doesn't matter. One thing to note with this brand is their stuff is very it's made to almost look pilly. I don't know what else to say about it, but it's very like a worn in feel. So if you find it, I would still probably get it. These are a pair of women's jogger sweatpants. I listed these for $85. It did have a couple of flaws, and someone accepted an offer to watcher of $72. And let's see, this one actually sold the same day that we listed it. All right, I found a couple of Lululemon puffer jackets recently, like real down puffer jackets. Don't know what's going on with that, but very happy to find them. And unfortunately, every single time I have found one, it's never in perfect condition. Like, it has a lot of flaws, but I'm still picking them up because sell-through rate is so high, and I'm just significantly dropping the price, and I'm still able to sell the flawed Lululemon down jackets. So this one I picked up for $7 at a thrift store. I believe I actually found this in the kids section. And this is called the Packet Down Puffer Jacket. This one was actually in the best condition of all of the ones I found recently. It just had basically some like slight staining throughout. Otherwise everything was intact. I listed it a little lower because of that at $100 or best offer. And I got an offer within just a couple of weeks for $70, and I accepted that offer and got it moved. Next up, very popular brand right now, Carhart. Specifically, the like canvas jackets can bring a lot of money. I got this Carhart flame resistant bomber jacket and listed it for $75. It sold in about a month for full asking price. So definitely keep your eye out for those Carhart jackets, especially the canvas ones. I've gotten over $100 for them depending on size and color. All right, we've talked about this brand before. This is Loro Piana. This is a 100% cashmere sweater. It is very wrinkly, but we were kind of terrified to steam it because we don't want it to shrink or anything like that. So just listed it as is, and it's still sold for quite a bit of money. We listed this back in November, so it did take a couple of months to sell. Listed it for $75. It sold on an offer to watcher for $64. All right, next up, this is a very expensive brand called Acne Studios. This brand used to have like 100% sell-through rate. It does not any longer. It really depends on what you have, but in my opinion, still worth picking up and sitting on. However, these beanies actually have a 100% sell-through rate. Very thick knit beanies, so keep your eye out for them. This one did have a small stain on it. I listed it for $70. It sold on an offer to watcher for $59. And this one only took a week to sell. Next up is Max Mara. This brand does not have a very good sell-through rate anymore. However, their pieces retail for so much that if I can factor stack with them, I think it's worth getting and kind of waiting for the right buyer. This one was a really thick women's turtleneck midi sweater dress. I listed this for $65. It sold for my full asking price, and it took about a month to sell. The reason I'm able to get these to move quickly is because I'm pricing lower. So if you do comps and you see that some of them are selling for $100 and up, people are probably waiting a really long time for that. So my strategy is to price slightly lower. All right, another cashmere piece. This is a brand called Parachute. Kind of a newer brand to me, and I thought I'd mention it on this video because it seems to have a pretty decent following. Parachute women's long length like cardigan / robe, and anything cashmere or cashmere blend right now is performing well. So of course we looked this up. We listed this for $50. It did sell for our full asking price. Next up is a brand that retails for a lot but doesn't always sell quickly. It is Lafayette 148. Wanted to share this one with you because their larger sizes do perform pretty well for me. This is a size 16 women's blazer. And for that reason, I think it sold so quickly. This sold in just a couple of weeks. I listed it for $50. It sold for an offer to watcher of $42. This is a newer brand to me. I don't know how to pronounce it. Ducon or Ducin, Dussin, I don't know. But pretty good comps on this brand. Very interesting brand, so definitely keep your eye out for it. These are a pair of women's wool blend wide leg pants. I listed them for $50. They sold on an international sale for full asking price of $50. And these ones took 2 months to sell. Next up, a brand that I'm picking up pretty much anytime I find it during this season because it's a very popular brand during winter, Smartwool. This is a little bit more of a substantial piece. It is a women's full zip sweatshirt. I listed this for $50 and someone accepted an offer to watcher of $42. This one took about a month to sell. All right, this is a brand that also retails for quite a bit but doesn't have the best sell-through rate anymore. It is Saison. So same strategy as that Max Mara. I price slightly lower than everyone else just to try to move it along a little bit faster. This is a really pretty Saison women's silk top, and this one actually sold in a bundle with this other Saison top that I listed around the same time. I included cottagecore in the title for this one because it just screamed that theme to me. So I listed both of these at $50, and someone bought these both in a bundle the same day for $100 for the bundle plus shipping. So felt very good with that purchase and happy to move those quickly. Next up is a vintage designer piece. It is Christian Dior. This is a kind of like lingerie sleep set. It had like the, I don't know if you call them underwear or shorts. I called them shorts, kind of like hot shorts, with a little slip top matching set. Listed these for $50. It did have a couple of flaws, but it did sell quickly in a couple of weeks for an offer to watcher of $42. So definitely some stuff in the sleepwear section with some value that you can find. Next up is St. John. This is another one that retails for a lot but doesn't always have the best sell-through rate. I'm willing to sit on their Santana knit pieces, which is the fabric that they're known for. Not everything they make is Santana knit. You kind of have to get a feel for it. This is a Santana knit like pencil skirt. Listed this for $50. It sold on an offer to watcher for $42. This one did take several months to sell though. All right, this isn't a brand I would necessarily memorize. It's just kind of a style-based pickup. Veronese. and it was a plus size 1X long length cardigan. It was a silk blend and it had like multicolor kind of patchwork looking details to it. Just a lot of factors. Whenever you can do that in sweaters during this time of the year, they usually sell pretty well. Made up a price with this one, listed it at $40. It sold like immediately. Let's see here. It's, I guess not immediately. Sold in a couple of weeks for full asking price, but very quick sale considering it was style based. This is also a brand I like picking up during this time of the year. It is Guer. They are made in Austria. Wool pieces, and like I said, specifically during this time of the year, if you list it in warmer weather, it probably won't move, but higher sell-through rate during this time of the year. This is a really cool men's wool sweater, size extra large, with some geometric details to it, kind of snowflake-esque. Listed this one for $40. It did sell for full asking price. This one took a month to sell. Mentioning this again, J. Crew blazers. This is a sweater blazer, very plain piece, but still good following on this. Listed this for $35. It did sell for full asking price, and it took a couple of weeks to sell. Another brand that's been performing well in blazers for me is Free People, surprisingly. I found this blazer, and it did have Nuba tags. However, it had like a DFW tag, which is not always the greatest sign because usually it's like really saturated styles at DFW. But this one actually had a decent following. It was called the Ashby blazer. So we picked it up and listed it for $40. It did sell for our full asking price. This is a men's brand to be on the lookout for. It is Todd Snider. Specifically, their printed button-ups perform really well. This is a really gorgeous floral print men's shirts. I listed this for $40. It did sell for a full asking price the very next day after listing. This is a great brand to be on the lookout for, especially in larger sizes. This is Allie Miles. It is like a login look, kind of artsy brand, very similar to like Soft Surroundings or Chico's. Very high sell-through rate in the plus sizes. This is a size 2X, gray kind of textured tunic top. I listed this for $40. It did sell for a full asking price, and it only took 2 days to sell. Next up, this is a Nike piece. I found that a lot of Nike pieces, when paired with good sports teams, like popular sports teams, can perform well. This is a Nike Ohio State Buckeyes hoodie, which was in really great condition, very thick and a larger size. So lots of factor stacking, but I listed this for $35. It sold for full asking price, and it only took about a week to sell. Last one on eBay before we dive into Poshmark sales. This is a vintage Fruit of the Loom sweatshirt. It just has the Purdue University spell out on it. Listed this for $35. It sold for full asking price. Moving on to Poshmark, I maybe only a handful of times throughout the year decide to put stock photos on things. It's a pretty big no-no. And most of the time I don't have an issue with it because we take pretty good photos and I feel like items are displayed well. But every now and then there are just a couple of items that I don't know, it's just not doing it justice, I guess. So this was one of those pieces for me. It is Christy Dawn, which is an amazing brand to look for. Very high sell-through rate things, retails for a ton, but I just felt like our photo was not doing it justice. So I pulled a stock photo for it. This is called the Scarlet Dress, in a size extra small. I think I originally listed this for like $150. Someone sent an offer for $125, and I went ahead and accepted. It sold extremely quickly, so I do feel confident with my decision to put a stock photo on it. Next up is a brand that I've been picking up a lot of, pretty high sell-through rate, especially in larger sizes, Jess and Jane. This one had some cat graphics on it, which I've said before, if you see anything that is like heavily cat themed, I would just get it. Cat ladies out there love this stuff, so it really adds a lot of value. So even though this wasn't a plus size, which is where the high sell-through rate things are at in this brand, it was a size extra large. and it had the cat graphic. So I felt pretty confident in that factor stacking. This one sold for $31 on Posh. This is an interesting piece. I've actually sold quite a few things like this recently. They're basically recovery pieces. This is called Marina Recovery. It is like a recovery one-piece shapewear suits. It sold for $40 and it surprisingly sold really, really quickly, and on Poshmark. Next up is one of those Standard by James purses again. This one was kind of, in my opinion, a fluke because we originally listed this. We add some dollars when we cross post onto Poshmark, just to account for offers, and this ended up selling for our full asking price over here. No offers, for $35. It's just a size extra small t-shirt. Pretty plain piece, but like I said, sometimes with James Purse stuff will sell for $20, $25. Then you'll have stuff that sells for over $100, like those corduroy pants. So it really just depends, but I thought I would share that sale with you. This is a newer brand to me, but one that has been performing really well for us. It is Sulky, Selkie. I'm going to continue picking up this brand, but a couple different like pieces that they sell have really good followings. This is a pullover like hoodie sweatshirt. It sold for $40 on Posh. This is a really great sale. This is the brand Primus, but regardless of that, I would just keep your eye out for this kind of aesthetic in blazers or jackets. This is like a military inspired, not inspired, this one actually was a military naval academy jacket, but it's got the gold buttons. It's got a crest on it, a heavily embroidered one. People are looking for this aesthetic, this very like university, academia, military inspired stuff. Specifically, this brand performs really well. This one sold for $100 and on Poshmark too. I thought that was an interesting piece to sell on Poshmark versus eBay. This is another brand I've been picking up a lot of. Again, specifically larger sizes perform the best. This is Simply Art by Dolcezza. This one was only a size small. However, I thought the graphics were really good. This brand is like a very artsy, kind of login looky brand. So I felt pretty confident in this pickup. It sold for $25. This is a Shefit bra. Shefit makes a lot of different bras now, some of which perform well, some of which do not. But they're, original like sports bra that's adjustable still performs really good. So that's what this is. This one's pre-owned. It sold for $34. This is the brand Toovas. Anytime you see a like standout Western brand, I would definitely pick it up. You can tell that this obviously sells Western inspired goods made in Texas. So definitely a key piece to look for, but pretty much all brands that kind of share this aesthetic seem to be performing well. So these were called the Western Rodeo Straight Pants. It actually had the style name inside. These sold pretty quickly for an offer of $48. This is an Arc'teryx men's polo shirt. Not much to say. I pick up everything in this brand, Arc'teryx. This one did have kind of an interesting logo. I feel like this was like made by the manufacturer. I don't think it was a company logo, because it kind of goes along with their fossil theme. But anything in this brand Arc'teryx I pick up. So this is a men's size medium polo. It went for $34. If you can find jackets or pants, you can probably get close to $100. All right, this is an interesting sale. I told you guys I am testing out a couple different women's brands that you guys say perform well, but do not perform well for me. Paig is definitely one of those. I am very picky on what I get. So I did look up the style Cindy along with the size and felt pretty confident. And it did end up selling for $35 on Poshmark. So I think these brands are performing better on Poshmark than on eBay, and I'm going to keep an eye on the comps. Here is another cat themed item. This is just the brand Sportex. It is a it was probably vintage. We probably should have put that on there. But vintage sweatshirts, and it sold for $35. I usually list my vintage sweatshirts if I can't find like specific comps for about 35 to 40. These are a pair of Hoka One. This brand's kind of dropped in sell-through rate a little bit. It really depends on the piece, but these were a larger size pair of Bondi black women's shoes in a size 10. I listed these, I think, for maybe $75 and quickly accepted an offer from someone of $59. This is the brand Title IX, kind of like an outdoorsy, kind of like sporty, sometimes athletic wear brand in the women's department. I find that their dresses perform extremely well. They tend to hold on to their sell-through rate. This one was a size extra small, which normally would deter me. However, it was new with tags. So I went ahead and got it, and someone accepted an offer of $37 on this piece. This is a newer brand to me. It is Young Maven, and very, very good sell-through rate on this brand. It doesn't sell for much, but it sells quickly. So this is just a women's hemp t-shirt. It sold for $25. This was a really cool vintage piece that I got in wholesale from Trash Pandas. This is, look at this tag. Isn't that so cool? This is a really old Hanes tag. I want to say it was probably like 70s, 80s, but I'm not really sure. Really cool like surfer graphic kind of sweatshirt material shirts. I did find some similar comps, which is why I priced this kind of lower, just because I was following the comps. And this sold for $42, which I feel like is pretty good for this piece. Next up is a brand that is very popular. It is Skims. I try to stick to their more substantial pieces. Their basics aren't performing as well, but they're like dresses, flare leg sweatpants, jackets, things like that do perform pretty well. These are a pair of knit pants. They are like wide leg and flare, and they sold for $40 pre-owned on Posh. And lastly is a belt. I haven't sold a lot of belts. I actually think I only might have a handful of belts in my inventory still, so I need to be on the lookout for some more belts. But this is a Coach belt, which definitely Coach in just about anything belt wise does perform well, men's or women's. You can see just the little brand here, very plain belt, which is why I wanted to show you this, because you might be passing over them on the belt section. This one is pre-owned and it sold for $30. All right guys, so that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.